Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to a very special webinar by the Destination Knowledge Center today. We would like to thank all of you for sharing some great ideas and have decided to pick up the most interesting ones suggested by you. And what can be more interesting than an Indian wedding? Yes, today we are going to have the first session of our Made in Heaven Marriages of India series, focusing on Bengal. Marriage is the most auspicious occasion of one's life. In India, it is a heavenly union of not only two souls, but two families and sometimes even two diverse cultures. It is just not an event where a man and a woman are getting united. It is an occasion where two families are taking part to join hands to bless together their children when the newly wedded couple is entering into a new beginning of a life together with love and responsibilities. Being a Bengali, it gives me immense pleasure to host this session today. Bengali weddings are steeped in rich culture and tradition. From the mouth-watering Bengali delicacies to the gorgeous red Banarosi shari, the soul-stirring sound of ulus and shanko, and the sweet fragrance of tuberoses, Bengali weddings are a real treat for the senses. While fun, food, and adda are important to any Bengali wedding, they also involve elaborate preparation so that every ritual is performed with great care and precision. And to decode the secret of a typical Bengali BA, we have with us Shubhama Banerjee, who needs no introduction. For those who are new to our session, Shubhamay is a Kolkata local and a licensed guide approved by the Government of India and Archaeological Survey of India Eastern Circle. He has widely traveled in India, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Shubhamay is an avid cyclist and a collector of vintage motorbikes. Besides all that, he is a Bengali Brahmin and probably the best person to tell us about the nuances of a Bengali BA. Welcome, Shubhamay. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you.
Thank you, Shoma, for this. Thank you all for giving me another opportunity to share my experiences and thoughts and stories. Yes, Bengali BA or marriage very correctly explained by Shoma that it is just not a man and a woman getting married, but it involves both the families and a lot of responsibilities. So marriage is made in heaven. Um, Once married, be careful. It's for 7 incarnations. Same husband or same wife will come back. So before you get married, you better make your mind with determination. Uh, the marriages, when does it take place and how does it take place? In my area, region of Bengal, still most of the marriages are in the rural area, agricultural area, arranged by the parents. However, in the big cities, love marriage or our own opinions are considered by the parents. In like all over India, in any marriage in Bengal also, we are having two things in common. One is intervention of an astrologer. Once the parents primarily selects a bride or a groom and the families, they before they meet actually physically, they will exchange the horoscopes of the concerned people. These horoscopes will be compared by qualified astrologers to see whether the constellation of the planets are matching each other's vibration or not. So how does it come in reality? In Sunday newspapers, if you open in Bengali or English version of the newspapers, you will see matrimonial, where the criterias are described. the age group, the caste, and the qualification, etc. Small description or biodata of the concerned people, the boy or the girl. Accordingly, we correspond with the families and primarily we select. Then what happens with the astrological mismatch? Interesting, you know, these days, when we find that the girl is properly qualified or the groom is properly qualified, but the astrologically horoscope is not matching, then it is slightly modified. So practically a fake horoscope is sometimes made to match the combination. That also takes place. But we know it. With full consciousness, we accept it because it's a tradition. And then when primary selection is done, then both the families visit each other's family to see the ambiance, to see the everyday living pattern, everything. And when they practically agree, then it is a time when the groom, I mean would-be groom, comes to the girl's family to interact briefly. If it is finally his decision whether he likes the girl or not, or the girl likes the boy or not, that is considered both people's opinion. When that also goes well, then comes a very, very important day, which is called Paka Kotha. That means signing the deal. Both the families sit together with the Brahmin priest to determine the date of the wedding in an auspicious moment, in an auspicious day. Mostly Bengali weddings are winter weddings because too much of rainfall in the summer months and monsoon season. So winter is a better season, and the wedding time is Godhuli, or during the dusk, just at the moment of sunset or in the evening. So Paka Kotha is final decision making day when they agree finally for the relationship going to be established. After Paka Kotha comes the most important part, the wedding shopping. And this wedding shopping is a long preparation of at least 1 or 2 months to select the suitable dress for the man and the woman, both by both the families, for each and every occasion, all the gold jewelry, everything, and selecting the menu for the gala lunch and dinner, everything, how many courses of food will be served, everything has to be discussed. So all the seniors get involved into all these discussions, and sometimes the junior ones, the children of the family, also put their opinion. Slight modification according to the trend is accepted also by the parents. All these things takes at least 1.5 months, and you can see in the image the gold jewelry from head to toe. Practically, when a child is born in the family, from the first rice ceremony, we start giving a gift of something made of gold, a very small thing, and in each occasion the weight of that gold is increased. So at the age of say 25, 27, 30 years of the boy or the girl, we already have a reserve. After these shoppings are done, when the day is approaching, see the dresses. For a wedding dress for a man, this particular hand-woven dhoti of cotton is essential. This is our traditional ceremonial dress. Without dhoti, nobody goes to get married. And so also, I must say, Bengalis are by tradition global. So without a brocaded silk sari from Benares, the wedding dress, the bridal makeup is incomplete. Absolutely not done. So Benarasi sari and a dhoti for the woman and for the man. This is essential, along with other accessories. Everything is said and done. Now we'll have to send invitation. Sending invitation means at least 600 people. Like if we send an invitation to some gentleman in the family, that means we invite whole family and friends. It is written in the invitation card in Bengali that Apnar Shabandhav Uposthiti Prarthoniyo. Your presence along with all friends is desired. So inviting one person means at least 4, 5, 6 people will come from each family. Naturally, it is like 600-700 people for the gala dinner and lunch. These are the designs of the card, very auspicious. Symbols are made like at the center of the bottom card, as you see, it's a Mangala Kalasa or the water jar with a green coconut at the top, made in gold foil. At the right, it is in Bengali language written Shubho Bibaha, auspicious wedding. And to the left, an auspicious symbol of Lakshmi Narayana is done, or sometimes it is also called Siddha Purusha. And symbol of marriage in Bengal is butterfly. So it will be somewhere there will be a butterfly. And when we send this card, there has to be 2 dots of turmeric and vermilion powder at the corner of the envelope. That means it is a wedding invitation coming. So wedding invitation is sent, everything is set, and then say 10 days or 15 days prior to the actual wedding ceremony, in both the families starts another ceremony called Aiburo Bhat. It is the familial bachelor's party. So the parents, the uncles, these grandparents, or other families in the relation, close relation, they will invite this would-be bride and would-be groom in their own families for a gala meal. That is your bachelor's party. For the last time you're enjoying your free bachelor's life. Get ready. You are going to sacrifice your independence forever from now on. Anecdote. My wedding anniversary is 15th of August, Independence Day of India. I and my wife both selected that day. You know why? Primarily because this is also the birthday of Rishi Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo of Pondicherry. Anyway, let's go to the next scroll. One day prior begins our religious ceremonies. In every sacred ceremony or religious ceremony, we use Ganges water. But imagine when people are living far away from the river Ganges, what happens? They collect some water from the nearby lake or pond, and then with a small prayer, they invite Mother Ganges to make her auspicious presence into that water, which will be used for the ceremony. So this water is brought home, and then very early morning of the wedding day begins. Before sunrise, this boy and the girl in their own family, they will be fed with yogurt and rice flakes, some fruits, and the seniors will all come and bless them with paddy grain, rice paddy grain and green hearts putting on their head for their new beginning of life. And after this meal, they will fast for the whole day until this ritualistic marriage is ending. So they will not eat from now on till the whole ceremony is over. After Dodhi Mongol, this girl at her home will already be put a bangle of conch shell, which is white in color, in combination with a red plastic bangle today. But traditionally, it should be coral, which is called shakha, which is derived from the Sanskrit word of conch shell, shankho, and coral is pola. So these two are now together in the hand of the woman for all through her married life. Only when the husband dies, she will break it forever. This is a symbol of one of the 2 symbols of a married woman. The other symbol, it's coming slightly later. Let's go to the next slide, please. Yeah. So after the Dodhi Mongol is over, then it is the time for giving them a ritualistic bath. And this bath for both the boy and the girl, it is given by the married women, either 3 or 5 or 7 in number together. And before giving the bath, they also give a application of turmeric paste. Turmeric is antiseptic. So they are given an antiseptic bath. When this antiseptic bath is getting prepared for the boy, then the father of the boy, or in the other family, the father of the girl, will sit for another ritual, which is very interesting. We call it Briddhi Puja. It is nothing but inviting the souls of the ancestors to be present in this auspicious occasion and bless their descendant when they are entering into a new, very important chapter of their life. So it is inviting all the ancestral souls of 7 generations at least, and then the fathers, the parents, will bless their son and daughter at home. After that, the bridal makeup ceremony starts taking place. It is a very, very long process, but you can see in the photo, this auspicious bath is being given to the boy in his family by the ladies, and so also at the home of the girl, she will be given similar bath. But before that, the turmeric paste ground at home used to give a bath to this boy, a small portion of it will be sent to the girl's house with 6 different saris and some toiletries for makeup. After this turmeric paste reaches home, the girl will be given the similar kind of bath by the ladies of the same family. So they share the same turmeric paste which comes from the boy's home. And accompanying gifts will be fishes. What you see, it is katla fish, sweetwater pond fish, dressed up like a groom and a bride. And from the bride's family, the fish which comes, it is having an auspicious design of the butterfly, and also it is decorated with gold jewelry. See the nose ring with a chain going to the hairline. This particular nose ring is called Phadi knot. That is from the nose ring, a chain goes to the hair as hair clip. So this comes like that. And then exchange of gifts. So now from the groom's home to the bride's home, whole set of gift will be sent, which will be comprised of saris, toiletries, different varieties of sweets, and jewelry, ancestral jewelry. Now, ancestral jewelry gifts, everything is coming. Is anybody left at home? No. We have a tradition of sending namaskari or salutation, and in these gifts, there will be also the saris for the senior ladies of home. And also if the bride has a sister or a brother, new set of dresses for him also. It comes from the groom's family, everything. So also from the bride's family, later on, another set of gift will go. To the next slide, please. You can see the different varieties of sandesh, milk products, used to be prepared at home. Of course, these days we buy it. Certain sweets are given a shape and color of different kind of fruits also. Here it is the gai holud, or this turmeric bath given to the lady, to the bride, with the same turmeric paste coming from the groom's home. And she has to stand in a pavilion guarded by 4 banana trees. This 4 banana tree guarded pavilion is followed all through the wedding ceremony. Enjoying this bath, fantastic. And then the auspicious protection cords are tied with green herbs. Green herbs here symbolizes prosperity and long life. So these are tied in the wrist, and in the bridal makeup comes the crown for the groom and the bride, made of shola pith or balsa wood, very, very light during the wedding ceremony. But some people say that after wedding, say within 4 or 5 years, it feels very, very heavy. Some people say, I don't say that. Topor and mukut. The topor is the crown for the groom, and mukut is crown for the bride. And the bridal makeup. Traditionally, the bridal makeup along with the Banarasi sari and gold jewelry will be tattoo work. This tattoo work is not permanent. It is made of sandalwood paste, done aesthetically. This alpona or the designs made on the forehead, chin, hands, everything. These days in the hands, of course, we do little bit of mehendi. But the tradition is using sandalwood paste only, white and red sandalwood paste, both. You can see how beautiful she looks. And then the boy, new generation boys, they are not really used to wear dhoti every day, particularly the ceremonial dhoti with a lot of complicated pleats. So experienced male folk will help them to wear the dhoti. In full bridal makeup, the groom and the bride, they look beautiful. A nice smile. And then from the bride's home, one senior person will go to the groom's home with a decorated car, with some ashirwad or blessings, with some ancestral jewelry, a ring or a gold chain, something. And then he himself will bring the groom at home. When he reaches the house of the bride's home, where the whole ceremony will take place, it is the first set of welcoming in a kulo, as you see, the tray. Normally in agricultural society, we use that to dehusk the rice paddy, and carrying oil lamp and some paddy grain. That is, with you comes light, illumination, and prosperity at our home. Please welcome. So this is welcoming the groom at home. Once he is taken inside in full dress with the crown on the head that you see, the second set of welcome will take place. In the second set of welcome, again, similar kind of objects with a little more elaboration, with some fruits and sweets. He will be welcomed like that. During this welcome, the gesture done with the tray is exactly how we do the Aarti ceremony to worship a god or goddess. Exactly like that. But every time, in every turn, this tray will be touched on the forehead and the chest and the navel of the groom. And then he will be blessed by the parents of the bride, similarly with the green herb and rice paddy. And then the bride will be blessed by the parents. You see on her forehead, there are some grains of rice, symbolizing prosperity and long life. And with the little finger, the father is putting a little bit of sandalwood paste on the third eye position. So this is the blessings done. Now they are ready for the actual ceremony. So when the groom is getting ready for the actual ceremony, he has to change dress. Now, the father of the bride will offer him a new set of dress that he has to wear to go for the wedding ceremony. So he'll change the dress and then to the arena. Again, guarded by 4 banana trees. And when the ritual starts, there is a funny ritual. There is a little bit of pretension. It is like arranged marriage. So arranged by the parents, the bride and the groom have not seen. We consider that they have not seen each other. This is the first time they will see each other, which may be disastrous also. So the bride is taken to the arena, sitting on a wooden platform, carried by her brothers, lifted to the height of the groom's head. And we try to normally lift this bride higher, higher than this height of the groom, that she is taller. And she will come covering her eyes with betel leaf. Now, she will take 7 turns around the groom. After taking the 7 rounds, she will remove these betel leaves from her eyes and the face. Now the bride and the groom will discover each other for the first time. And look, they are happy. The parents had a good selection. Oh my God. After this is done, they will exchange the garlands. These are tuberose garlands, highly fragrant, with rose medallions. So they will put their own garland on the others, around the other's neck. It is exchange of garlands. It is taking place. Oh, funny. So who is taller? It is a competition. That's why the groom's family, somebody had lifted the groom also higher than the bride. And see, the bride is slightly scared. She is holding the hands of somebody. These are the fun moments in our wedding. Both of them are laughing. So after this is done, then begins the actual ritual, which is Vedic, purely Vedic ritual, where fire god is kept as witness of their relationship, which is beginning for 7 incarnations from now on. So this is a typically wedding pavilion created indoor. Wherever there is a possibility, we create it practically under the open sky with an artificial canopy created. At the center, there is fire pit. So this is the open ground decorated with rice flour paste and vegetable colors applied, the design for the wedding arena done by the women. So this is the place where at the center we create the fire pit, and then around the fire pit this whole ceremony takes place. To the next slide, please. Also in the auspicious designs, we put Mangala Kalasa, auspicious water vessel with mango leaves. Mango leaves come normally in a group of 5 leaves or 7 leaves. So that is put with some paddy, and over it a green coconut shell, and the auspicious designs are made. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what you see, you are right, swastika, which is an auspicious cosmic symbol brought by the Indo-Aryans in India about 1500 BC, after the destruction of Indus Valley civilization. We have ample archaeological remains conserved in our museums, but this is not the time to talk about it. I will talk about it when I have another opportunity. So these are the auspicious symbols kept by the door of the house, indicating there is an auspicious religious ceremony. Now the ceremony begins, where very important area, Sampradhan. The father of the bride now takes the palm of the bride and puts it with certain objects, gift items, on the hand of the palm of the groom. Thus, he offers his daughter, the beloved one, in the responsibility of her would-be husband, and the husband takes the hand like that. Then it is covered up with a gamosa or a bath towel, hand woven, typical traditional one from Bengal. And then the priest starts enchanting all the mantras or the prayers. Very elaborate ritual. After this is done, next slide, please. Now they go to the fire pit, where they will offer to the fire some puffed rice together. This is first time when the groom is actually holding the bride properly, semi-hugging position. And then there are other rituals where the groom has to touch the navel of the bride, enchanting certain particular mantras or the prayers. This is the first physical contact between 2 unknown people. They are getting used to accept their partners physically. Little by little, through the rituals, it begins. So after offering this puffed rice, then they go round the fire pit 7 times. When they go round the fire pit 7 times, already the pallu, or the hanging part of the sari from the shoulder of the bride, is tied up with the shawl, or as we called uttariya, of the groom. they are knotted together. This is symbolizing the eternal knot between them. And you see a certain wooden object is handed over to the bride's hand. She is holding it on the left hand. If you look at the typical icon, clay icon of goddess Lakshmi, the deity of prosperity, this is in the hand of Lakshmi also as personal treasury, holding some coins and rice paddy. In ancient agricultural civilization, paddy was symbol of prosperity. So here the bride becomes, in the new family, the goddess Lakshmi's mortal symbol coming in. She is holding that. She is as respected as Lakshmi coming home. So the groom has to be very, very careful and practically has to make a submission at the feet of his beloved wife. Very, very important, this surrender. Now they will go 7 times around the fire, and we say that when you walk 3 rounds, you become friends, and after you walk together hand to hand, knotted like that 7 times, you are eternally partners of each other. So this is 7 times around the fire pit, and in every round the parents will bless with paddy and green hearts on their head, showering paddy on their head. And then a very, very important ceremony. The second most important symbol of a married woman comes now. The groom will put vermilion powder or sindoor on the hairline of the bride. And how does he put it? With the finger? No, you will be surprised to see. She is the deity of prosperity coming in home, symbolizing Lakshmi. So this is a measuring cup of rice paddy in the hand of the groom. By pouring vermilion powder on the hairline, he accepts the lady as his wife. And now on, the lady's identity of birth is terminated. She takes the family name of her husband. She is no more Miss, but Mrs. So and so. It's a very emotional moment for both. One is happy with little bit of fear. Other one is sad and happy together. Very emotional moment they share. Next ritual, as you see, the newly married wife, very, very beautiful. And you see that phadi knot, the nose ring with a chain which goes to the hair as hair clip. It is one of the most traditional gold jewelry of the Bengali women. I believe in all our houses, whoever could afford has at least one phadi knot like that nose ring. And then they will relax for some time. They will have some refreshing drink like fresh lime juice, etc. And the first meal since sunrise, remember, whole day they were in fasting, and now they will eat together, and whole elaborate meal cooked at home, sitting side by side. The husband has to feed the wife, and the wife has to feed the husband in their own hands. And everything cooked will be served. But believe me, after a whole day fast, such spicy food in so many elaborate manner, it is practically impossible to eat. So we eat a little bit. And what happens with those big fishes? It is not served as yet, but in the bride's home, the big fish head, the entire head is fried in clarified butter, ghee, is served to the groom, the husband. Now the husband will break that head, eat a little, and the rest he will feed to the wife. And then again, wife will take a little broken piece from the head, will feed the husband. That is the tradition. By the time the gala dinner in the bride's home has started, it is the assembly of both families, family members, and all relations and friends. So 500-600 people. And then they go for the Bashor Ghar. In Bashor Ghar, this is a cultural evening. They will be going to a room sufficiently large to accommodate a lot of people. They will sit together for the whole night. They will enjoy with family and friends by singing, playing, reciting poems. It's a cultural evening. It is like both families are getting to know each other. And these two newly married couple, how do they get to know each other? They play certain games organized by the senior ladies, like a few small shells of the snails will be hidden in a heap of rice, and they will have to dig into the heap of rice to find out those shells or of the snails together. So under the heap of rice, they're touching each other's fingers for the first time. It's like playing. And then there is another khala or a game which is called kuto khala. Kuto is small pieces of straw or grasses. Somebody will bring a big bowl of milk, and with the finger they will make a whirlpool into the milk, and then will float two small pieces of straw, which will tend to get to touch each other into the whirlpool of the milk. Now their responsibility is to separate them on both sides of the bowl. So it is a lot of patience required to do that. So thus their patience are tested, and they also enjoy these games of touching each other's finger like that, hidden into the rice or into the milk bowl. These are the events take place, happy moments, but next morning, Bidai or farewell to the beloved daughter since birth, grew up from a little daughter to a matured woman in front of the parents. Now it is time the father and the mother will give a farewell. When the farewell ceremony comes, you remember the bride is now symbolizing Mother Lakshmi, Goddess Lakshmi, deity of prosperity. Does it mean the deity of the prosperity of her home is now going away forever to another home? So what will happen to the prosperity of the father's family? That cannot be ignored. It's a very difficult moment for the bride or this girl. She is leaving home forever. She is going to her own home, which is completely unknown to her. So takes a little bit of rice and some coins in her folded hand, and without looking at the parents, turns outside from the main door and throws it behind like that, that my father, my mother, I am leaving home, but may the prosperity in abundance remain always like this in your home, not anymore my home. So thus she also blesses the family of her parents with prosperity in abundance and goes to her new home. How is the welcome? Interesting. Let's get into that. When they come home, then from the groom's family, they will be again welcomed together with the similar fashion, with a dehusking tray made of bamboo with auspicious symbols and fruits. You can see some yellow bananas put over the tray and a conch shell. And then the lady wrapped in a gamusa holding a fish. Normally, a slippery catfish is handed over without this wrap of gamusa or a cotton. So it tends to slip out of her hand. It is a symbol that you have come to a new family. This family might be very slippery. It tends to slip out of your hand. You will have to hold it. But be careful. You must not kill the fish. You must not kill this family, destroy the peace and harmony of this family. So she has to hold that fish without killing it in her hand gently. And remember, it's a slippery catfish given. So the first, you can say, ragging takes place. It's a very gentle ragging, very suggestive ragging to the newly wedded bride. Suggestive. Then she comes home. At the doorstep, a big rice plate will be placed, mixed with milk and vermilion powder. Remember, Goddess Lakshmi has entered into home, so her footprints will be taken at the door. Now Lakshmi is entering into home in a beautiful Banarasi sari, beautiful feet decorated with mehendi, putting her footprints for the first time into her home, which will be her home forever now. And she comes inside. Then she has to look at the kitchen, standing on a stone spice grinder. This stone spice grinder and the roller grinder, that is also very, very symbolic. It is saying that this new family sometimes may feel like very heavy on you, but be patient like this stone grinder. Tolerate a little to understand the everyday life culture of this new family. Have patience. And standing there, she will have to look at the kitchen room where already the senior most ladies will be waiting by putting a big bowl of milk on the fire in the oven. And the boiled milk, when it overflows out of the bowl, she has to say that I see wealth in abundance overflowing in this family. So her arrival as goddess Lakshmi in this family is fulfilled. Now you see, she is holding exactly like goddess Lakshmi, the holy water jar, and entering into home. After she enters into home, they will be blessed once again and fed by the family by hand, sitting side by side. They will have some light breakfast. And then comes a very tragic moment. Right after waiting a tragic moment, see, she is also holding the same treasury of goddess Lakshmi in hand. Now they will be separated for the whole day and the whole night. This day, they do not see each other's face. They are separated. So also at night, they do not meet. They sleep in two different chambers, heavily guarded by the parents so that do not see each other. It is practically evoking the curiosity of both people. And by this time, what happens? The closest cousins will pass mobile telephone these days. Olden days, they used to be messenger to each other, passing the messages or making nearly a running commentary of whatever is happening, whatever is being discussed in the other room. So they do not see each other. Whole night is spent. Next morning is another very, very important morning. After the bath, the husband will now offer some food and new set of dresses to the wife for the first time at home by saying that from now on, I take all your responsibilities for life. And then comes the lunch hour where the husband and wife together will serve food to the inmates of the family, which is like about 50 or 60 people, and they will serve together. And all these seniors, the relations in the family of the husband, they will accept this new girl in the family as their daughter-in-law. This is very close to a Jewish ceremony of wedding also. They also do the same thing. A lot of similarities are there. So this is Bou Bhat, where Bou, the daughter-in-law, is serving rice to the family for the first time. After this Bou Bhat is over, now the husband and wife will eat together. There, the husband will have to feed the wife first because now she has come to his home. So, with a lot of care, sitting on the ground, the husband will feed the wife. And then the gala dinner in the evening, well-dressed couple. These days, sometimes into this gala dinner, we dress up westernized in a three-piece Oxford suit also, which in my opinion is a little ridiculous in this hot tropical weather of Bengal. But however, if the father-in-law has presented with a suit length or a suit already made, one has to wear that. And then they will sit in a decorated pavilion together. Friends will come family will come, both the families will reunite once again for a gala dinner. And this is the second night after marriage that the wife is again dressed up elaborately. This is also very, very important night. This is the first time at home the husband and wife will spend the night together. We call it Phul Shojja. To the next slide, please. As you see, the gala dinner, these days buffet. In olden days, till my older sister's wedding at home, it was like us, all our friends, uncles together, we served the food in the table. No buffet. Because serving the food means a lot. It's a personal contact. And then Phul Shojja, the bedroom chamber will be heavily decorated with flowers in different manner. Mostly we use tube roses and roses, which are fragrant. Also sprinkle rose petals on the bed, and then they sit by side by side. The husband here can offer a ring or a new set of gold jewelry of his preference to his beloved wife. So also the wife is happy that again husband has given something, and then they shut the door. After that, I do not know, but there will always be some peeping Tom to at least to hear the noise of their conversation or anything, whatever they could hear, and so that next morning they can crack nasty jokes. So this is Phul Shojja. The marriage is consumed. They begin their life together for another 7 incarnations. Exciting, isn't it? So this is a typical Bengali wedding. There are a lot of stories happens. In fact, I can tell you, when there is a gala dinner, like 2 gala dinners of 700 people, another wedding brews up, like into the relations or the friends. Somebody gets interested to another one, then they start interacting with each other, and then the parents come to know, oh, okay. So sometimes the new arrangement or negotiations of wedding or a love affair takes place in these kind of wedding ceremonies. That's another story. Story never ends. Shoma, over to you now.
Thank you for a wonderful session, Shubhamay. We were so engrossed in the session. It actually felt like we were attending a Bengali wedding. Thank you so much.
There is a lot more.
I now
have time. The preparation of the gala dinner, the shopping,
yeah, yes,
cooking, everything, it takes time.
Right.
What are the
and
items?
the Ashtamangala.
Ashtamangala, because after all these things, 8 days after the wedding, the newly married couple will go back to the bride's ancestral home, where there will be a small ritual. This Ashtamangala, the married couple comes back home, the married daughter comes back home to meet the parents.
Yes.
And then again begins the invitation from the relations that the couple, newly married couple, now visit each other's family periodically. Because do I have 5 minutes to refer something, Shoma?
Yes, please do.
These days, obnoxious Indians uprooted from their root, really, they do not keep Vatsyayana's Kama Sutra at home because it's obscene. But if you go by the first chapters of Vatsyayana's Kama Sutra, where it is suggested that when an arranged marriage takes place, the couple do not know each other, they must not consume their marriage so quickly. So after marriage, they must take 1 week. So after marriage, this 1 week time they take to go to the gardens, to walk hand to hand shoulder to shoulder, exchange good words, and then they visit their families and relations to know each other and each other's family together. And after 7 nights, they can consume their marriage. So we do it a little fast, but we also follow the tradition of knowing each other's family post-wedding by attending invitation dinners or lunches. Thank you. Thank you, Shoma, for giving me this time. I believe there are questions. Shoma, you are mute.
Yes,
I cannot
yes,
hear you. Yeah,
yes.
there are questions.
So yes, we already have some questions here.
Yep.
I would take up the first question. Pratik is asking, dear sir, thank you. He is thanking you for the presentation. In today's time, with busy life, a lot of traditions being cut short. How much the modernization has affected the wedding customs in a Bengali wedding?
Just the gala dinners. Just the gala dinners, because now we do not have any more big ancestral homes, or the joint families are getting split, so manpower is lacking. Naturally, we are either calling qualified caterers to serve the cooked food, or we are booking a banquet in a hotel according to our budget, say 3-4 star hotel for a humble middle class family, to organize the gala dinner. It's no more organized at home, this much. But otherwise, when you take up the rituals or the pre-wedding preparation, it remains more or less same. Elaboration can be changed according to the budget of the family.
Yes.
This much.
Ashwinder is thanking you for this presentation.
Welcome, sir.
So there is another question from Pratik. In almost all parts of India, it is said that marriage is for 7 births.
Yeah.
Any idea from whom this philosophy came from?
I have no idea, but I believe these are all metaphors. You will have to decode it. Who knows whether for 7 incarnations I am getting married in this incarnation? Before that, I am having thousands of incarnations, if I believe. So which 7 parts am I following? I do not know. In my opinion, it is a relationship being established with full consciousness. And in our Indian spiritual yogic way, the consciousness is coming from 7 different chakras. So from the very bottom, earth material, earth element chakra, to the sky element chakra, all my consciousness in harmony to accept this relationship, even if it is for 1 single incarnation, that there is no dilemma, there is no ambiguity. I have agreed with responsibility, with my full consciousness, and I accept it from both sides. So this must be 7 incarnations or 7 births. I don't believe. I really don't believe in that.
Yeah. Vipin Nayal is saying, thank you, sir, for lovely presentation and like your sense of humor in between the lines. Like the North Indian weddings where parents believe and gifts household things to their daughters to start a new journey. Is there any similar practice follow in Bengali weddings?
Oh, absolutely the same. Like the cookware, when I said that Tatto or the gifts come, the complete kitchen set cookware, new bed, that means a complete cot, and the bedspreads, etc., almoir, everything according to the budget of the family. But we are not like very rigid that we must have this in the list sent to the bride's family. We do not believe in that. On the contrary, these days, with modernization, both families participate in contributing together for the newly married couple, and sometimes ask the friends. What do? We ask, okay, do you need something like, okay, let us make a gift of Teflon coated cookware, the complete set kitchenware. the friends are gifting something, or some group of friends are gifting the complete cutlery set or a dinner set. It comes like that. So the parents are never overburdened. We try to reduce the burden this way.
Yes. Also, in olden times, during Pakakotha, they used to have this agreement, and they used to write all the adan pradan in the agreement.
Dena pauna, it's dowry. Uh, uh, it's slightly different in Bengal, particularly into the educated family or semi-educated family. My family was just a typical trader's family. I'm telling you, my grandfather, for all of his 5 sons in wedding, took dowry of 1 rupee, ceremonially wrapped in a silk handkerchief from the other family. So this is a traditional I have to take. So sitting on the wedding arena, the bride's father presented in both hands, wrapped in a silk handkerchief, 1 rupee coin. And those are like coins of with King George V's head or 7th Edward's head. Those coins we have at home presented as dowry.
Yeah. There is a question from Naresh.
Yes.
He's asking, sir, it seems like food is an important part of Bengali weddings. So in the modern Bengali weddings, do we have elaborate menus including Chinese food or the authentic Bengali cuisine only? This question pertains to weddings taking place in smaller towns of West Bengal.
Sir, without food, what is there in a Bengali's life? The ceremonial meal means traditional Bengali food. We have deviated slightly in the sense not to include Chinese spaghetti and all those things. Sometimes we have chili chicken, but the deviation is that in a complete ceremonial Bengali food, even in a Sunday meal, we begin with bitter, we go to astringent, we go to pungent, then salty, then sweet and salt, and then finally sweet dishes. So in our wedding dinner now these days, the bitter items like neem pata fried sort of thing, or typically shak bhaja, certain herbs fried with lentil paste drops, bori, coming with muger dal, moong dal. Those things are sometimes absent, slightly different, but grossly we stick to the traditional Bengali food. Otherwise, it is not appreciated. There will be heavy criticism.
Yes.
And one thing is must, that is chingri macher malai curry. That is big tiger prawns cooked in coconut gravy, coconut milk and coconut gravy. That's a typical must item. If Ilish fish is available, then shorshe bata Ilish steamed, that has to be there. Those things are still followed in our traditional meal. So no spaghetti, please.
Right.
No Chinese.
Although in other places, they do buffet during the reception mostly. That includes other cuisines as well. Yes.
Sometimes we do. Sometimes these days you find frequently, however, chili chicken, because it's easy
Yeah.
to.
Right. So we also, yeah, there is one more question from Ramesh.
Yes, yes.
He's asking, hi sir, why the fish is exchanged with haldi,
Yes.
even if families are vegetarian?
Ramesh, let me answer you. Bengalis don't consider fish as non-vegetarian.
Exactly.
Please throw more lights.
We eat only vegetarians. Do you know the meaning? Vegetarians means goat, chicken, fishes which are
Fish.
eating mostly hards, mosses, etc. We eat them all. No, there are certain vegetarian families. Of course, the typical Orthodox Vishnuit families of Shantipur and Nodia district, they do not, of course, exchange anything like fish. Or in their gala dinner also, there will be nothing non-vegetarian, pure vegetarian meal. That's a different chapter. That's a very, very elaborate delicacy in Bengal that we have. You don't miss anything.
There is a question from Hari Prasad. He is asking, "Hi sir, I have seen couples sharing sweets, but fish head is for the first time. Is it because fish holds a significant place in Bengali household, or is there any chance of religious beliefs?"
No religious belief. Know that in every geographical location, the ceremonial food will be comprises of their regular food habit in its utmost delicacy. Bengali food habit, if you consider the staple food in my region, is rice and fish. And the fishes are right from sea fish to sweetwater fish, all. So fish comes into our platter, and yes, when it comes to the gala dinners like wedding, etc., then we do not buy like small fishes. The fishes dressed into the different sizes are selected, which are weighing at least 10 to 15 kilograms minimum. So these will be very large fishes like that. And in old traditional families where we have places to dress them, the vendor will come and cut it in front of our eyes according to the suggestion given for the pieces. It's not like he will do it in his own way. We have our own way to make the sizes. That has to be followed.
Yeah. Pratik is asking, arranged marriage without knowing each other or love marriage? What's your opinion? Why do you think love marriage is not as successful as arranged marriages in India?
In an arranged marriage, the compromise already takes place by our submission to the parents' will. So later on, a little more submission to the wife's feet, or for the wife, submission to the husband becomes slightly easier. In love marriage, in any country, in any civilization, in any time, there is a more chance of ego clash. This ego clash chance is more because mostly the love marriages takes place with very minimal age gap. Both people are of similar age. They have done, both of them, they have their strong personalities grown. In an arranged marriage, normally certain distance difference of age is followed, which is nearly 4 to 5 years. So this way it is slightly balanced. Possibly, I'm giving you hypothesis, but possibly these are the reasons.
Rashmi Gupta is asking, in India, though in all religions and communities, some or the other thing is common in wedding. Is there something or some ritual which makes Bengali weddings different?
Very much. You are very, very correct. See, in a Bengali wedding, there are two different chapters. Because I didn't have much time to go in proper elaboration, I concentrated only into the Vedic rituals around the fire. Between this Vedic ritual of a wedding, there are moments of typical folk tribal influences in our wedding ritual, where little bit of mumbo jumbo sort of things also take place that I did not mention. There are, as we called, lokachar, or the regional folk influences in a wedding. They are there. And that differs also from West Bengal to East Bengal. Slight differences are there.
Yeah. Also, we do not need a DJ because we have Ulu and
We have
Shankho.
Ulu and Shanko, but if you remember, I do not know, Hate nilam maku bha karo to bapu. The brides, after welcoming the groom at home, the groom also stands on a shield or a grinding stone surrounded by 4 banana trees. There, the mother-in-law, would-be mother-in-law of the groom, does the boron or the gesture with the tray, kulo, and then she measures the groom 3 times from navel or bottom of the navel to head, 3 times with cotton khadi thread. And this thread is swallowed by the would-be mother-in-law with a banana. And then she takes up a shuttlecock of a hand loom in her mutti. And then she will say that Hate nilam maku, I have taken the shuttlecock in my hand. Now please sound like a lamb. And the groom has to sound like a lamb. Bah. So the mother-in-law is satisfied that the son-in-law will be under control. Those kinds of rituals take place in the villages even today. In the cities, it has become slightly rare.
Yeah.
Did you go through such ceremony, Shoma?
No, I have not seen that.
No, your husband would be a better person to answer that, I know.
I am still single.
But ask, and this is the time also, there is a role of a barber, hair cutter, hairdresser. He will assist all these rituals, the folk rituals, and then this is the time when this barber will recall all the nasty, obscene poems, recite loud about the marital life. And you will have to really put your fingers into your ears. This is a tradition I found also in France, in Brittany, where during the wedding ceremony, the seniors of both the families will sing in Breton language those obscene songs. That is there even in Europe. Strange.
Yeah. Quite strange. So this was the last question we had, and we will wait for some time if there are more questions.
Bengali weddings are always very interesting, full of events. Full of events. Between the events of the actual marriage, there are events take place. New
Yes.
courtship.
The new courtships are always the most fun because
Yes.
if the bride and groom they have siblings, then it is inevitable
Yes.
that they will be linked.
Yes, absolutely. Those are the new stories beginning
Yes.
the first day itself.
And then the whole family falls after their lives
Yeah.
that you must get together.
Oh, big fun.
So even this Poroto Bhav story that you said, that happened in one of my cousin's weddings.
Mhm.
So I had never seen that before, but they were doing it and they wanted some gold chain or something to free him. They tied his hands with a string, and then they were saying that if you bleat like a lamb, then we will, free you, but you also have to give us a gold chain. So I don't know.
It's blackmailing. It is the
Yeah.
counter ragging. It is the counter ragging of the groom. It takes place. There is Shojatuluni.
Yeah.
Shojatuluni
Yes,
is
yes,
after the
yeah.
first wedding night. Somebody will come to change the bedspreads,
Yes.
and for
And
changing the
also,
bedspreads, they will ask for a hefty amount from the
also I think when
Groom,
the
from the groom.
yes.
bride comes to the groom's house, they block the gate.
Lock the gate, yes.
Yes.
I think we have the most interesting question of the session. Sir, what is the key of successful married life?
Are you married?
Vipin is married.
Vivin is married. Uh, why are you asking this dangerous question, please? it is practically mutual, respectful submission to each other. No one is greater than the other one. Life complementary. Life together is complementary. If you can accept that, then it is a successful marriage. But let me tell you very honestly, I talked big, very big, because however you explain, once you are married, there are compromises. And when you understand this compromise is not your compromise only, it is from both sides, you are one step ahead towards successful married life. Then, if you understand that you are still living in your own acquaintance, in your own family, nothing is changed in your life other than a partner has come to share your bed. But for the lady, it's a completely different world where she has to adjust with you, with your parents, with your friends, with your brothers and sisters, with your lifestyle, with your everyday habit, with the selection of your toothpaste. In every step, when you understand that and be sympathetic to her feelings, then it's a complete success. Otherwise, forget about peace in life.
Yes.
Am I very wrong, ladies?
Not at all. She is leaving her home and coming to a new place.
Yes, this changing identity completely at a matured age of these days, say 27, 29, 30, 32, suddenly, and accepting that change forever. It is so very difficult. You guys, I said, try to live in your in-laws' home. Consider that as your parents are getting old, they need attention and care. So also your wife's parents are getting old and they need in their retired life attention and care. So if you can bring them home to live together, or you go to their home to live together, taking care of, how would you adjust yourself? जमाई षष्ठी में ससुराल में जाके बड़ा आनंद होता है, good treatment. But living 24 hours for years, for months, or for weeks, have you ever tried? Do it, then you know what your wife goes through for all of his or her life.
Well, the boys of Meghalaya does it, but that's for another webinar.
Yes.
Right. Wonderful,
Ankit is
Shubhamoy. Thank you
saying,
so much.
interesting webinar. Thank you, Shubhamoy sir.
Hey, please don't call me sir. I feel very, very embarrassed. I'm Shubhamoy Da.
Before I kind of sign off and Soma takes over, just want to let you know that almost 70% of my kitchens, all the appliances are from my wedding. All gifted. And number two, Chandrasekhar, when you go and dine in a Bengali family and you tell them that I'm a vegetarian, please specify that you don't eat fish also if you don't eat fish. Otherwise, fish will be there.
Yes, yes, but Chandrasekhar, if you are a vegetarian, a Bengali vegetarian delicacy will be a real treat for you.
Absolutely delicious, yes. Thank you, Shubhamoy.
Welcome.
Thank you, Shubhamoy. Thank you so much. It was very interesting.
A pleasure is all mine sharing my stories with you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. And thank you all of you for attending the webinar. I would request you to please fill in the poll that is popping up on your screen.